All right, let's dive right in. We're so often conditioned to believe that true fundamental transformation has to take an entire lifetime. We think it requires decades of grinding, slow realizations, and gradual shifts. But the source material we're unpacking in today's explainer, it completely shatters that misconception. We're looking at a highly structured framework derived straight from Jim Rohn's motivational principles. And it argues that you absolutely do not need a lifetime to become unrecognizable to yourself. You just need a specific, highly focused window of time. And that magic number, it's 6. 6 months. The material really emphasizes this intense, high-stakes time frame of 6 months of pure, focused effort. Contrast that with the years most people spend just kind of drifting. The argument here is that most of us waste 6 months without even realizing it. We let distractions steal our time, we start things, we never finish them. But if you lock in completely for just half a year, this framework suggests you can literally turn everything around. Now, this quote cuts right to the core of our deepest excuse. Someday is not a real day on the calendar. I mean, how often do we tell ourselves, oh, I'll get serious when the time is right? The source agitates this pain point perfectly, reminding us that the perfect moment is a total illusion. Every single moment you waste waiting for someday is a moment you are never, ever getting back. So the crucial takeaway here is this challenge. Where would you be 6 months from today if you decided right now, in this exact moment, that things were going to be different? Imagine if you just eliminated every single excuse, every weakness holding you back, and executed a precise plan every day without slowing down. How much stronger, how much sharper, how much closer to your ideal life would you be? It's a massive question. And to answer it, well, we need a system. And to build that system, the source provides a 6-phase roadmap. We've got 1, this 6-month success plan, 2, mastering your time, 3, discipline over motivation, 4, raising your standards, 5, building an unshakable mindset, and 6, relentless execution. All right, let's kick things off with phase 1, the 6-month success plan. This right here is where we lay the groundwork and establish our absolute non-negotiables. The framework breaks this foundation down into 3 distinct steps. Step 1, take full responsibility. The text argues that winners simply do not blame external forces, their past, or their environment. Step 2, get crystal clear on your goals. Vague goals create vague results, right? So the methodology insists on setting a target so precise that there is zero confusion. And step 3, create a daily roadmap. You have to break those massive goals down into daily, weekly, and monthly actions. Listen, anyone can say they want something, but the elite, they actually map out the daily requirements to go get it. Moving right along to phase 2, mastering your time. Okay, so once your roadmap is set, we move into the mechanics of the day-to-day. The source draws a really stark contrast between how most people operate and how a winner operates. On one side, we have meaningless distractions. You know the drill. Waking up, immediately reacting to the world, living on autopilot, and just wasting hours on things that really don't matter. On the flip side, we have mission-serving actions. This means structuring your mornings to maximize energy, setting up deep work blocks, and treating every single hour like it's the most valuable resource you have. The framework maintains that every action is either moving you closer to your goal or pulling you away. There is absolutely no neutral ground here. And that actually brings us to a very dangerous trap highlighted in the text: confusing motion with progress. Just being busy doesn't mean you're actually achieving anything. So many people trick themselves into thinking they're making strides just because, well, their calendar is full of easy tasks. But true progress requires intentional, measured effort that genuinely moves the needle forward. If an action doesn't serve your mission, the text is crystal clear: you must cut it out immediately. Which leads us nicely into phase 3, discipline over motivation. Now we're shifting gears into the real psychological engine of this entire framework. If you are sitting around waiting to feel inspired to do the work, this whole plan is going to fall apart on day 2. The text redefines discipline as the ultimate bridge between your goals and your results. It's not about talent, it's not about luck, it's the systematic ability to show up and execute whether you feel like it or not. In fact, the framework suggests completely eliminating the phrase "I don't feel like it" from your vocabulary. Gone. The source points out this fascinating concept: motion creates emotion. You don't wait to feel good to take action, you take action and the feeling follows. Let's actually look at how this discipline plays out on a timeline. The first 30 days, they are categorized as the absolute hardest phase. The material notes that your mind will resist, and your old habits are going to fight back with literally every excuse imaginable. But if you can push through that severe resistance, you enter months 2 and 3,
which is where trust is built. You start trusting yourself because you're actually doing what you said you would do, and the action starts to become automatic. By months 4 through 6, the framework asserts that you've created this unstoppable momentum that pretty much guarantees massive success. That brings us to phase 4, raising your standards.
The thing is, discipline alone just isn't enough if you're aiming too low. To raise your operational baseline, the source argues you have to recognize a hard truth. Comfort is the enemy of progress, and discomfort is the true catalyst for growth. The text makes it incredibly clear. Growth only happens under pressure. If you're not uncomfortable, you aren't evolving. To completely transform in 6 months, the framework says you can't just do the work. You have to actively chase discomfort. You have to push past your previous limits and hold yourself to a standard of excellence that essentially forces you to level up every single day. Next up is phase 5, building an unshakable mindset. Now, intentionally seeking out daily discomfort, that requires immense mental fortitude. So the framework lays out very specific rules for protecting your mental battlefield. First, it requires thinking and speaking in absolutes. The text suggests replacing weak phrases like, I hope, or I'll try, strictly with I will. Second, it demands ruthlessly eliminating negative thoughts the exact second they appear. And if the people or environments around you are feeding that negativity, the source states they've got to go, period. And third, it advises intentionally exposing yourself to daily struggle. You build a truly strong mind through resistance by putting yourself in situations that test your limits on purpose. And finally, we reach phase 6, relentless execution. We've hit the climax of the roadmap now. All the discipline and high standards in the world mean absolutely nothing without taking extreme action. The most powerful directive of the entire plan is this: stop negotiating with yourself. The source really hammers home the idea that the moment you wake up and give yourself options, asking yourself, should I do this today? You have already lost. The framework points out that the human mind will always look for the easy route. And that's exactly why high performers make the decision in advance that their actions are simply non-negotiable. Furthermore, the framework beautifully explains that action kills fear. We so often think we need to feel confident before we take the leap, right? But the reality presented here is the exact opposite. Confidence doesn't come from thinking about it or endlessly preparing. Confidence is built by stepping into the unknown and just doing the work. The more you act, the more those things that once terrified you just become easy. And when you do act, the text states you have to act fast. Speed matters. Jim Rohn's philosophy urges you to move faster than everyone else. While others are still debating, still preparing, still making excuses, the methodology suggests you need to already be 10 steps ahead. Massive, relentless speed creates the kind of momentum that makes success inevitable. Once execution becomes your default setting, the source argues you will never go back to being a person who hesitates. Which brings us to our final point, and a deeply provocative question that places the burden of the next 6 months directly into your hands. Are you ready to stop waiting? 6 months of extreme focus, of eliminating excuses, and executing relentlessly can put you years ahead of where you are right now. The limits you thought you had, they're just illusions. So look at the calendar, realize that someday isn't actually on it, and ask yourself, what are you going to do with your next 6 months?